Hello beautiful people, and welcome to another video, my first in quite some time. Over the last sort of 4 or 5 months I've had no motivation to do anything other than watch really bad shows on Netflix in my comfies, and that's it. So that is why there hasn't been a video in such a long time. But we're in October now. This is the 3rd of October that I'm filming this, and I always get such a rush of energy in sort of September, October time. I think it's all of that back to school energy. I've never really got off the school calendar, so I always feel like September and October are a brand new start. So with that in mind, I am back. I will be sticking to a schedule. It will be Thursday uploads with occasional Sundays as well. I'm hoping to start weekly vlogging, so it'll be a regular video on the Thursday and a vlog on the Sunday. However, that is subject to change. But today's video is my June/July favourites, and this video has kind of been like a real obstacle because I wanted these videos to go up so that there's still some consistency, but I've had no motivation to shoot them. But here we are, let's do this. So in terms of beauty favourites, I only have 2, and that is because I have not tried anything new whatsoever. I have been shopping my stash a little bit and have come up with a couple of things that I've really liked and not used before, but I have not tried anything new in the longest time. These aren't new releases, they are kind of new to me, and the first one is the Elemis Dynamic Resurfacing Pads. I will do a cutaway so you can see the packaging a bit clearer. I have actually used all of these, so this will probably make an appearance in a product empties video. I was actually gifted these when they first launched, which I think was in 2017, and I used them maybe once or twice and then kind of just forgot about them really. But I did start using these in July, and I really like them. They were these exfoliating pads, really similar to like the old like Neutrogena Clean and Clear pads you used to get. Anyway, so they basically were these pads that were impregnated with essentially a toner that really smoothed the skin and exfoliates, and it really did that. It gave me really bright, really clear, really smooth skin, and I liked them a lot. Now this actually has 60 pads in it, and I used them through all of July and August. Really liked them. However, in terms of sustainability, I would not buy these again. I feel like you could do the same job with these with just the toner, so I would rather invest in that and then not have all of these pads to throw away rather than have the pads. So there is that. I don't think in terms of sustainability these are the best. However, I really liked the product in general, and if they did have a toner of just this without the pads, I would buy it again. I did like it a lot. My second beauty favourite is a lipstick. Now I'm going to be honest with you guys, from the months of say May to mid-July I wasn't wearing makeup at all. I was living my best life, bare skinned, just went full feral actually. But then I started wearing makeup again. It became like a goal. Also wearing clothes that were not elasticated was another goal, which I have been doing. But yeah, so then I found this, which is a lipstick again that was gifted to me a long time ago and I'd never used before, and it is, I've had to Google the name because it's really long. It is the Jane Iredale Triple Luxe Long Lasting Naturally Moist Lipstick in the shade Ella. Now this lipstick is really up my street in terms of colour. This is a really rich berry shade, and it just lasts really well on the lips. It has a really nice formula. It is very moisturising, but it is matte, but it's not slippy. So there tends to be, with matte lipsticks, they're either really dry and they last really well, or they're creamy and moisturising but they slip about all over the place and you can't keep them on. And this kind of hits the sweet spot in between. Lasts a really long time. It's beautiful colour, perfect for this time of year, that sort of like autumnal berry shade. So that is all of my beauty favourites done, but I do have a ton of like streaming recommendations and a couple of music ones as well. So the first one I want to talk to you about is Women in Music Part 3 by Haim. This album came out in June and I have listened to it constantly since. I love Haim. I have for a long time. They are spectacular, and this album is just incredible. It's so good. Like, personal highlights are The Steps obviously, but also I Know Alone. Hallelujah is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm dying to learn that on the guitar. I think that's my favourite one overall. It's so gorgeous. There's been a lot of comparisons for them with Fleetwood Mac, and that one in particular, I feel like that's going to be their legacy song, like their really big one. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. The whole album is wonderful. Up From a Dream is another favourite. I absolutely love it. Have listened to it so much. Could not rave about it more. I absolutely adored it. Haven't got it on vinyl yet, but I think I might be asking for that for Christmas because it's just perfect. Proper chef's kiss. One thing I watched loads, I've talked about my love for this thing on here before, actually vlogged the occasion when I went to see it, and that is Hamilton on Disney Plus. Guys, if you haven't seen Hamilton, you need to. It's the most beautiful, incredible, wonderful, wonderful show, and the Disney Plus filming of it is just, oh, it's beyond perfect. I am such a fan of Hamilton. The music is so good, and so wonderful, and I now know a ridiculous amount about Alexander Hamilton as a result, which came in very helpful during the Zoom quiz period, which I was very good at. I absolutely love it. It's so good. I've watched it a lot. I'm in excess of 5 times, maybe closer to 10, and it's just, I can't recommend it enough. It is so wonderful, and it's just perfect. I can't rave about it enough. If you are a musical theatre fan like myself but haven't seen Hamilton and know nothing about it, which is unlikely, but if you don't, it's the story of Alexander Hamilton, one of the founding fathers of America, and it's just this man's story and how basically his history and his story hasn't ever really been shared, and what an amazing rich life he had, and it's just incredible. And the closest thing we have that could be a reference point for Hamilton is Les Mis, but it's with rap. Oh, it's so good, and it's got a really diverse cast, and it's just amazing. I love it so much. So if you haven't watched it yet, guys, you are in for a real treat. It is perfect. So I haven't really read much this year. Apparently this isn't an uncommon phenomenon. I have been reading, but nowhere near to the level I was. So this year I've been kind of lucky if I've done a book a month, whereas last year it was like a book a week. So I do think that my everything I read in 2020 video is going to be a lot shorter than everything I read in 2019 video. It's really annoying as well, because obviously I've had so much more time on my hands and I haven't known how to fill it because I can't really concentrate on anything. Anyway, I'm rambling. I have read a couple of books, and one of the books I read and absolutely loved is How to Build a Girl by Caitlin Moran. I actually watched the film first and I adored it. Really good. That's another favourite. This can be the combined favourite. It's on Amazon Prime. It is free. Not Amazon Prime, but it's one of the free films on Amazon Prime, and it's so good. It's brilliant. It's funny, it's moving. Beanie Feldstein is gorgeous and wonderful. So yeah, really recommend that. But this is the book, and the book is very good. In a weird twist of fate though, I actually think the film is better, but don't tell anyone. This is so brilliant. It's so funny. It's well written. It's very sort of starkly observed. It's basically based on Caitlin Moran's life. It's not like an autobiography, but Caitlin Moran was a music journalist, a teenage music journalist in the 90s, moved from Wolverhampton to London, and this is sort of the first part of that story, although it is a fictionalised account. It's really good. It's very nice, sort of like a distraction, because this is set in a time when things were still normal, and they are not anymore, are they? But yeah, it's brilliant. Really recommend. Okay, so I've got a ton of Netflix, Now TV, Amazon Prime recommendations, so I'm going to try and get through these really quickly. The first one, which was on Now TV, or also Sky if you've got that, is The Jinx, and it's a documentary. It's a crime documentary about a man called Robert. I can't remember his last name, but he has essentially got away with murder for years, and it's an investigation into, there's 3 main crimes, and it's an investigation into those crimes, and essentially off the back of that documentary he's now in prison, which is good. But it's so gripping and so weird, so weird. Now with true crime I'm always a bit like, because I find it so fascinating, but I also know that it's to the detriment of the victim and the families. These were real crimes, these were real people, and that makes me feel a bit icky and ugh. But I also find it enthralling, so and I'm not the only one, so it is problematic. But this story is fucking bizarre. It involves him getting away with the presumably murder but definite dismemberment of his next door neighbour, disguising himself as a woman, and he was not an attractive woman, and he's also got a very deep gravelly voice, so it's so bizarre. The story is absolutely insane, but well worth a watch. It's very gripping and very easy to watch. It's kind of, if you're a fan of Tiger King, that kind of binge watching but you don't feel good after about it watch. Like, I remember with Tiger King I loved it, but I also felt like I'd eaten something really bad for me that made me feel bloated and gross, and The Jinx is like that, but it's very good. Also on Now TV is the excellent excellent documentary, Everything is Copy, which is about the wonderful writer, screenwriter, filmmaker, excellent person, Nora Ephron. It was quite funny actually, because I'd already watched this and then I heard them talk about it on the High Low and rewatched it, and I just still thought it was amazing. So this is on Now TV, probably already mentioned that, and it's just Nora's life told by her friends and her family. It's her son that made the film, it's after her death, and he is talking to these people, and how Nora Ephron was an open book. Like, her biggest hit, Heartburn, was based on her marriage to Carl Bernstein and how he cheated on her while she was pregnant with their second child, and it's a whole thing about how she was like an open book and literally everything is copy, but when she was poorly and dying, she told no one. It was a real shock, and it's just such an interesting look at this woman's life, and it's so fascinating and so brilliantly and beautifully done, and the talking heads in it are amazing. I mean, Tom Hanks, Rita Wilson, Rob Reiner, Meg Ryan, Carl Bernstein. It's just such a fantastic documentary. If you are a journalist or a wannabe journalist, it's something you'd really enjoy. Possibly my favourite watch, although not possibly, definitely my favourite watch from June and July was I May Destroy You on BBC iPlayer, which, if you haven't heard about, you either are A, not on social media, which fares, or B, live under a rock, which given the current climate also fares. I May Destroy You is a comedy drama from Michaela Cole, who is the writer of Chewing Gum, which I'd also strongly recommend because it's fucking great, and on Netflix. It's so good. So I May Destroy You is about Arabella, who is a writer, and she's working on her second book, and the night before the first draft is due, giraffe? Did I say giraffe? First draft is due. She goes to work at her agent's and then leaves to go partying. And while she's partying, she is drugged and raped, and it's basically how she puts her life and her assault together. So she's trying to work through her assault and work through life and everything. And I don't actually know what the time scale is. I don't know if it's a year or if it's a bit longer, but it's essentially her life after, and it's just so beautiful and brilliantly done. And it's about her recovery and how she essentially comes to terms with her assault, and it's so good. It's so good. Like, I don't feel like I have the words to express how good it is. It is brilliant. Sometimes it's hard to watch, sometimes it's really fucking cringy, sometimes it's so funny. It's just the complete gamut of human experience in a TV show, and it's so well done. I can't stress that enough. It's brilliant. Me and my sister sat on the sofa and watched it until 2 in the morning because we had to finish it. It was so good. So yeah, I definitely recommend that. So I have 2 more Netflix recommendations for you. The first one is Next in Fashion, which is essentially a revamped Project Runway hosted by Alexa Chung and Tan France, and they are looking for the next top designer, and they get this amazingly talented group of people on there to do fashion challenges and to create these amazing clothes in such a short period of time, and it's just so good. It's such an easy watch. I think I watched it within 3 or 4 days, and I loved the person who won. Like, I was fully on their side. I'm not going to tell you who it was because spoilers. I just loved it. It was really easy to watch, really nice, and it kind of had, although completely different show, completely different format, it had kind of a Bake Off vibe in that it was just really comforting and nice to watch. I think it's the low stakesness of it. Like, obviously for the people in it it's very high stakes and it's really important, but for you watching, it's just like, someone's going to become a designer out of this, like a really good designer out of this, and the others aren't, and that's not going to have a massive negative impact on my life, and I like that. And my second Netflix recommendation that I absolutely adored was Gilmore Girls. Now, if you are the same age as me, sort of late 20s, sorry, I've got a mad fringe going on, it's because it's a bit too long. Anyway, if you are the same age as me, sort of mid to late 20s, grew up in the UK, then you definitely used to watch Gilmore Girls after school on E4, because we all did. And I had watched a lot of it, but I'd never seen all of it, and I reckon I'd probably seen from season maybe 3 to season 5, and then just never ever seen past those points. I got into it in lockdown in a big way, and I watched all of it and I just absolutely loved it. Will say this, I love the Gilmore Girls. I do not like Rory Gilmore. No thank you. Lorelai Gilmore, Stella, Emily Gilmore, even more so. Rory Gilmore, go away. No thanks. And that was actually quite hard to watch, in that every time Rory was on screen I was just like, ugh, Rory. But no, I absolutely loved it. Really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for like a comfort watch with major nostalgia vibes, oh my god, the technology is incredible. They're using those phones where you have to like flip the bottom down and pull the aerial up. Oh, it's great. They didn't have Wi-Fi. There's literally a whole thing about one of them getting Wi-Fi. It's incredible. I found that really soothing and really comforting. And again, it's something where it's just mostly everyone's happy. like nothing bad happens. Like bad things happen, but it's their own fault, Rory. And sometimes Lorelai. I loved it. I'm here for Lorelai and Luke. Lorelai and Luke forever. My final favourite is a podcast. I haven't really been listening to any new podcasts lately, which is weird because there have been a load of new ones, but one I've really got back into is Shagged, Married, Annoyed. I really got into this sort of last Christmas and was like listening to it constantly, and I just found it so funny. But then what I do is I tend to get podcast fatigue, where I just listen to that podcast until I get bored of it. But I've got back into it. I think it's so funny. I love Chris and Rosie's dynamic. I love that they take the absolute piss out of each other, and I love that it's so very obvious that they just adore each other. I think it's great. I really enjoyed that. So those were all of my June and July favourites. Let me know if you can remember what your favourites from that time was. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell for post notifications. Please definitely subscribe, it really does help, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.